Now, starting off with the big news hours ago, Adam Schefter reports that Mike Tomlin is stepping down from the head coaching position after 19 seasons with the franchise. Tomlinson finishes his career regular season-wise 193, 114, and 2, with 2 Super Bowl appearances in 2010 for the second one, and more importantly, the win for the Steelers back in 2008 against the Arizona Cardinals in his second season with the franchise as well. And this is big news. Of course, a lot of fans, I think more so for Pittsburgh, and for me, what I've said for a little bit was I think it was time for Mike Tomlin to move on. And there was reports leading up even to the wild card matchup that he could step down as well. I think as recently, I think it was the day before the game that I've seen reports saying, hey, there's rumors, speculation that he might step down after the season. And not even 24 hours after the loss, he steps down from the Steelers organization, from the head coaching position. Now to know Adam Schefter also report, or it's not Adam Schefter, Ari Mirov, if I said his name right, he had an important note here. He says Tomlin leaving the organization means the Steelers will retain his rights. He's not fired, of course, with him stepping down. He will take a year off and maybe, now this is this other part he's speculating at least, but maybe take the route of Sean Payton, do TV, and become a trade candidate next season. Who knows how it plays with that, but Mike Tomlin's rights are still owned by the Pittsburgh Steelers, so I want to put a note on there as well. That was reported on top of that. And again, going back to what I said a second ago, I think it was time for the Steelers to, and more so maybe Mike Tomlin, to part ways. This has been similar to what I said about Harbaugh. I think it ran its course. It's certainly been frustrating for the last 10 seasons, at least for the Steelers. There's a team that in their playoff history in the last 10 years has been horrible. It has. It truly has been bad. You have to go all the way back to January 15th, 2017 for the Steelers' last playoff one. That was against the Chiefs. 18-16 was the score. What have they done since then? Well, they got blown out by the Patriots in the conference championship game the next week, 36-17. 2017, the big upset against Jacksonville, 45-42, but Jacksonville was leading by a large sum in that game at some point. You look at in 2020, they lose to Cleveland 48-37. 2021, they lose to Kansas City in the wild card 42-21. 2023, they lose to Buffalo 31-17. Last season, 2024, they lose to Baltimore 28-14. And of course, yesterday, the Texans win 30-6. And again, it was just a very frustrating game last night. The Steelers' offense just could do relatively nothing, and that's why I said all the other playoff games were exciting. They were amazing to watch. Outside of this one, when you had the Steelers, especially in the fourth quarter, allowing 23 points, some of those, of course, through touchdowns, came off of the defense, pick six, and a fumble recovery for a touchdown. But this offense, especially, was abysmal. This team overall, I mean, again, the first 3 quarters, it was close still. 7-6, Houston still in there, still a tight race. And then it got the doors got blown off in the fourth quarter, and it wasn't even close after that. When you look at the box scores here, Aaron Rodgers for the game, 17-33, 146, 0 touchdowns, 1 interception. The running attack was very non-existent at all. 12 carries, 43 yards. Your leading receiver was DK Metcalf, 2 catches, 42 yards. Now, I don't want to give too much praise to the offense for Stroud because Stroud played horrible in this one. It was all on the defense. The defense just swarmed the offense and just suffocated them in this one. They did, again, the pick six, which was, I think, Rodgers' last pass thrown in the game. It could potentially be his last throw in the NFL, as well as earlier in the game as well, the fumble recovery for a touchdown. Again, it kind of blew things wide open in that one. You do look at the Houston running game. It was Woody Marks, 19 carries for 112 yards and a touchdown. The leading receiver without Nico Collins that did get hurt in this one. Christian Kirk, 8 receptions for 144 yards, 1 touchdown on 9 targets. Collins only had in the game 3 for 21. Your second leading receiver was Gene Higgins, 3 for 39. And again, this was just, I think, just a nice summary of the Steelers. And I think it's been the frustration, not just for this year, but just for years prior. And I've said before, the Mike Tomlin record of not having to lose the season is very overrated. It does get overrated when you do absolutely nothing in the playoffs. Since 2017, if you have to go going back to the record for that, what they've done in years prior, it's very frustrating. It is, like I said, January. The 2016 playoffs, or 2017, I guess that year-wise, if you can't even want to be technical, January 15, 2017 is the last time they won a playoff game, and it's been bad since. It has been, and it's just, again, I think the standard of what the Steelers have been before and what it is now is polar opposites. The bare minimum, what I feel like the last few years now is just barely get in, 9-8, 10-7, and just get in the wild card, and that's it. Doesn't matter if you get blown out, you're just doing the bare minimum. You have a winning record, and you make the playoffs. It's good enough, and you keep that record alive. And that's the frustrating part where, yes, it gets overrated at that point, and I think it just, for me, I don't care about the record at all when you're not doing anything in the playoffs and you're getting embarrassed consistently in the wild card game. And I think maybe that was needed last night for things to change, for maybe Mike Tomlin to step away, or the Steelers to go in a different direction. Whoever initiated truly for that conversation, I think it's best for both parties to go into a different direction. I think many fans I've seen, especially for Steelers fans and so forth, on social media, at least what I've seen, at least, could be completely wrong, maybe the vast majority wanted to stay. It's just they got frustrated with Mike Tomlin and just how things have been. Again, when I look at the team records, especially the last few years, you go, I mean, let's look at past 2016. Let's go from 2017 plus. So 2017, you went 13-3. That was the upset one against or the upset loss to Jacksonville. So 13-3, 9-6-1, 8-8, 12-4. Okay, 9-7-1, 9-8, 10-7, 10-7, 10-7. Outside of 2020 and 2017, it's just been the bare minimum, and we're giving praise. Congratulations, you went 8-8 in a year. You went 9-6-1 in a year. You had a winning record, and it gets overrated for that one again when you're not making the playoffs or you're doing absolutely nothing in the wild card. And I think there was a point that something needed to change for Tomlin. And I don't want to bash Tomlin too much because I still think he is of course still a great head coach, but I think it was time for the Steelers to go into a different direction. I think maybe it should have happened a year or two ago that somebody had to change. I think they've done the best they could. I'm not putting it all on Tomlin. Of course, it goes to the higher ups, the front office, and so forth for the players, especially the quarterbacks that they get for him. But I think it was time for Tomlin to go into a different direction. I think certainly he will take some time off after a long tenure career with the Steelers. And again, it's a crazy offseason with Harbaugh, 18 years the Ravens, gone. Tomlin stepping away after 19 years, gone. And it's again, that's going to be very interesting to see. It's going to be certainly very weird to watch in 2026 when the new season starts and we see both these teams match up, especially, and both these guys aren't on the sidelines, and it's people completely different. It's going to look really weird for that one. I mean, if you go back to 2007 when he first started, or 2006 when he wasn't with the Steelers, it's insane to think about that. But I think it is time, no question. Even if he does want to take time off, I think he does jump up, above Harbaugh in the coaching search. No question about that. I mean, Harbaugh's already going to be sought after. He's already got interviews with, looks at the running mates so far, or the leading favorites that was reported yesterday, or I think earlier today. I think it was yesterday. I posted it with the Giants and the Falcons, which I have as my top two picks as well for destinations too for him, and. No question, Tomlin jumps him, and everyone's going after him, just like Harbaugh will or has at this point. Everyone's going to go after Tomlin. Everyone raves about Tomlin. If you want to talk about former players in the sports media and so forth, everyone loves and raves about Mike Tomlin. So there's no question about that. People are going to go after him, and if they have to trade from, they're going to give up whatever it takes from. If they can get a deal done, they're going to bring in Mike Tomlin because of the pedigree he has, the respect that he has. Throughout the NFL, no question, he is going to be highly sought after, obviously, for that. For destinations, I can't tell you where it is. Again, I don't know if he wants to jump back into be a head coach next season, or he wants to maybe take a year off. Like I said, that was reported with the rights. Maybe he wants to take a year off, go on TV, and feel some things out, and see how things look after next season's the next off season, and see what opens up for him. But yeah, again, I think it's unfortunate because I don't want to bash Tomlin too much. Again, I think he's a great coach. It just ran its course in Pittsburgh. I think there was changes that need to be made, and just again, there is more to it than just Tomlin. Like I said, the front office, we look at especially quarterbacks with Kenny Pickett, Russell Wilson. I think Aaron Rodgers was horrible this year, but again, there is no long-term answer. Ever since Ben Roethlisberger left, there has been no clear long-term answer. Of course, that was supposed to be Kenny Pickett. Didn't work out, obviously, with that. And you look at more so, you may put that on Tomlin with the offensive coordinator, so with Matt Canada, that people despise. They did not like him at all. And you bring in Arthur Smith, that I did not like. I I don't think he deserved to even get a head coaching job from Tennessee. I don't think it's that hard to call running plays for Derrick Henry, one of the best running backs we've ever seen, in my opinion. He mismanaged the talent, especially offensively, for the Falcons that had Kyle Pitts, Drake London, Bijan Robinson, and now he was given the helms at the offensive coordinator spot with the Steelers, which again, very lackluster, horrible last year under Russell Wilson. A little better this year, but it's getting very inconsistent at that on that side of the ball, and is still getting offensive, still getting interviews for head coaching positions. Why? It boggles my mind. Him and Matt Nagy, I don't know how they're getting interviews, is beyond me. I don't understand it at all. But going back to Tomlin again, what I keep saying over and over, I think it was time. And I'm sure it hurts. It sucks, especially for Steelers fans that have watched this guy for 19 seasons be the head coach, lead him early on into the Super Bowls. Again, winning one in 2008, missing the playoffs the next year in 2009, going back to one in 2010. But after that, it's just a huge drop off from 2010. It is. Ever since then, you've only advanced past the wild card twice. You look at in 2015 when they lost to the Broncos in the divisional round, as well as maybe 3 times. Sorry, if you want to say they didn't play in the wild card in 2017 because of seeding, of course. But you think at 2015 where they advanced to the divisional round, 2016 when they made to the conference championship, and then essentially we're one and done, but we're in the divisional round against Jacksonville. Outside that, again, it's been horrible, and the Steelers have to do something. They had to do something. Again, whether Tomlin felt that way, he wanted to step away, or the Steelers just wanted to go into a different direction. Yes, it sucks. You might have a losing record this upcoming season, 2026, but I think it needs to happen. You have to get your franchise quarterback. If they're trying to swing for the fences this year or wait for next year, if they do bad and they have a higher draft pick, it needs to start over. We can't keep trying to just put Band-Aids on the issues and just find a new quarterback every year. Find an old veteran quarterback to lead the team, and then next year find another recycled quarterback, and the next year after that find a recycled quarterback, and just do the bare minimum. Something needed to change. And again, maybe in hindsight, you're gonna look back at this and go, maybe this was the best thing that happened to the Steelers, is get blown out by the Texans. And right now for them, absolutely horrible. It's embarrassing. I'm not saying that people should be happy with that. Maybe if you're on the certainly on the side of you want a Tomlin fired, you probably love this because this kind of just really put the nail in the coffin for that. But again, I think this was just the frustration, not just for yesterday, but for years prior and how things have been, just barely getting by, being good enough to not be a bad team and miss the playoffs and having a decent draft pick, but not good enough to really do anything in the playoffs. It sucks again, regardless of how I felt about Tomlin, thinking that something needed to happen. He needed to be moved on from, whether they wanted to fire him or he decided to just, I'm sick of this. I want to try something different, or I want to just relax. I don't want to be a head coach for a little bit and take some time off. It still sucks to see Mike Tomlin gone. And like I said, between him and Harbaugh, it's going to be weird. It is. It's going to be certainly very different not seeing those two guys on their respective sidelines when they coach, when those teams run out in 2026. Again, we'll see what happens with it, but no question. Even how I feel about him, well, I said a few minutes ago, he's the number one prospect. He's the number one candidate for head coaching. Everyone's going to do anything to get him. If they have a trade from him, who cares how much it costs? Because again, the respect, the pedigree, and what he has and what he's done for the Steelers, people are going to run and grab that as quickly as possible if they can. If they can agree on a deal to bring him in, no question about that. So again, we'll see what happens in this offseason. I don't know how much is going to happen with him. I mean, it's only if to more look at Harbaugh with his coaching search, and that's something more interesting. What happens with him, Tomlin? We'll see what that. Again, if he wants to take time or he wants to jump back into head coaching in 2026, we'll find out with that one. But no question, everyone is on that list. No question about that.